If you want to succeed in any industry, this is the one thing that is almost always overlooked. It's not hustle or hard work, it's not strategy, and it's not even who you know. It's your unfair advantage. And when you can find and double down on your unfair advantage, that's where you'll find your secret to success in whatever industry you're in. This is the shortcut that most people never take, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can find yours. So first, what is your unfair advantage? Your unfair advantage is something that you have, something that you are, your personality, maybe the way that you think, how you behave around people. Really, when it comes down to it, you being you is your unfair advantage. And since we were really young, we've been taught not to be us, but we've been taught to be everybody else. We were told not to be too much of this or too much of that, but it's these skills, our experiences, our personality traits, and the resources that maybe only we have access to that are our unfair advantage. And that's going to be the thing that gives us an edge that nobody else can copy. We now live in a world where being the best of the best doesn't really mean much. It's not about being better anymore. It's about being different, and it's about being different in a way that connects with people. In every market, this is going to look different, but if you naturally fit into your market, if you are naturally attracted to whatever you're doing, and if you choose to naturally be yourself, that's going to be the thing that draws other people in. Let's take a couple of big YouTubers, for example. Mr. Beast's unfair advantage is that he's willing to work harder than anyone else in the world because he wants it more than anyone else in the world. Another unfair advantage that he has is he doesn't really care about the worldly things. He doesn't care about cars and money and houses and all of those things that a lot of us care about. So he gives those things away. And to a lot of us, that's so out of the normal and that's so insane that we can't help but to share that with our friends. And for him, that's his unfair advantage. Now, if you're into cooking and you watch Nick DiGiovanni, his unfair advantage is that he's incredibly smart and he was on MasterChef and he happens to be good at talking to the camera. Another YouTuber we could talk about is Ryan Trahan. His unfair advantage is even though he's incredibly smart and could have intellectual conversations, instead of going down that path, he focuses on just connecting with the viewers. And he doesn't even focus on anything specifically. He just has a really charismatic personality and he has an ability to win other people over. And he focuses on just being himself. And that's his unfair advantage. Then we could talk about somebody like Michael Jordan. He's not the tallest in the league, and when he was younger, he probably wasn't even the best. But his work ethic is so strong that he can outwork anybody. So even though there were probably hundreds of NBA players that were more talented than him and more naturally good at basketball, it didn't matter because his unfair advantage brought him to be the very best of the best. So it doesn't matter if you're naturally into aesthetics, or if you're scrappy, or if you're funny or charismatic, or even if it's not any of those personality traits and you're just insanely consistent. Each of these things are their own unfair advantage. When you're copying somebody else, you're already behind because you're trying to compete with them at something that's already their unfair advantage. The moment that you lean into your own unfair advantage, you stop playing the game and you start separating yourself from everybody else, and people want to follow that. Honestly, for me, I've been doing photo and video since I was really young, and because of how long I've been doing it and because of how early I started, I should be the best, but I'm not, because naturally that's not my unfair advantage. But something that is that I'll never stop. It doesn't matter if I'm the best or not because I'm not trying to be. I know that this is something that I want to do the rest of my life. I want to be creating something. I want to be doing something that feels like it's coming from my heart. And that's my unfair advantage, is that I'm never going to stop, not even when I'm successful, because this is what I love doing. These are my unfair advantages, and people aren't praising these types of advantages. So if you feel like people aren't praising the things that you naturally have, that doesn't matter, because leaning into your unfair advantage at the end of the day is going to be the thing that brings you the furthest. So now let's talk about how you can find your unfair advantage. First, I hope talking through some of those examples, it sparked something in you and it helped you realize that maybe a couple of the things that I mentioned were also partially something that you have in yourself. And maybe one of those things is your unfair advantage. And if it's not, hopefully something else popped in your mind. But if it didn't, here are some other ways that you can try to find that thing. Ask yourself, what's easy for me that's hard for others? Don't just ask yourself and be passive about it. Actually grab a pen and paper and write it down. And try to write down at least 3 things that are easy for you that are hard for others. Because again, this isn't just some self-development thing to help you out. This is something that if you figure this out and if you lean into that, it can be a complete game changer for you. It can be something that helps you connect with people more. It could even be something that makes you completely change your career, and that might be a scary thing. But at the end of the day, if you focus on this thing, then you will be the best of the best at what you're doing. I think another powerful way to gauge what could be your unfair advantage is thinking about what people naturally come to you for. Sometimes your unfair advantages are also your interests, and sometimes you're interested in things because you're naturally good at them. So also think about some of your hobbies you have and some of the things that interest you and some of the things that you can talk about for hours on end without getting exhausted. One of those things that I have homies hit me up for often is choosing a fragrance. When they're interested in finding a watch, helping them find a nice watch for a good price. When some of my friends want to upgrade their wardrobe, they ask me where they can get some nice clothes. Another one is when I have friends that are looking for a nice car at a good price. For me, these are all some of my unfair advantages because they're all things that I'm interested in. It's not that I was born with specific aesthetics that were just going to work in 2025. It's that I'm interested in things that are aesthetically pleasing. So in 2030, even though styles change, my homies will probably still be reaching out to ask what my recommendations are for nice clothes or a nice watch, because these are things that I'm interested in. So I'm always keeping myself up to date on them. So sometimes your unfair advantage doesn't even necessarily mean that you were born with a certain gift. It might just mean that you're more interested in something than somebody else is, and that you have more energy to look into that thing. Now, say for example that you want to start a YouTube channel and you want to figure out what your unfair advantage is, something that you can lean into. Well, one thing I recommend doing is leaning into the path of least resistance. For me, for example, when I started my YouTube channel, I thought I was constantly going to be making video essays about Porsche and Louis Vuitton and Rolex and all of these luxurious brands, because these are things that I'm interested in. But then when it came down to it and I was on a time crunch, I ended up making a video like this that was more focused around personal development. And that's also one of my unfair advantages, is being so interested in personal development that I have an easier time conversing about it and talking about it. Therefore, I have an easier time sharing some of the learnings that I've found while doing some personal development myself. Because I've been making videos for almost 10 years, you'd think that making something like a video essay would be easy for me in the path of least resistance, because I've put in thousands of hours of editing. But the truth is, even after editing for thousands of hours, I'm still not very quick at it. So when it comes to making something like a video essay, even though that's something I really want to do, one of my unfair advantages isn't editing. If anything, that's one of my unfair disadvantages. So it takes a lot more time for me to make something like a video essay. And even though that's something I'm really interested in and want to make more of, I would not be able to produce something like that every single day for 90 days. So I guess what I'm saying is putting some pressure on yourself will also help you find your unfair advantage. Now, lastly, I just want to say you'll probably have a couple of things that you notice may or may not be an unfair advantage. And the only way to really find out is to just keep trying that thing that you think might be your unfair advantage. Lean into that as much as you can, and know that for the first while, it may not look like you're ahead of other people. But again, if it's something that comes easier to you and you keep iterating on that, then before you know it, you'll be way ahead in it, because it's something that's so natural to you. So when you do find that thing, build around it as much as you can. And before you know it, you'll be way ahead, and you'll be so grateful that you chose to lean into that thing, because that truly is one thing that will help you stand out and help you be successful in whatever field you're in. The hope for my videos is not that you'll walk away a different person every time you see one of my videos. It's that you'll be able to learn little things here and there from the different videos that you watch, and that those things will make a big impact over time. Overall, I just want to say, whatever you think somebody else's version of success looks like, don't try to go after that thing. Find your personal unfair advantage and make it so strong and develop on it so much that nobody can compete with you. If this is something that's been helpful for you and something that you look forward to finding in yourself, give this video a like or please subscribe. Thanks for being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow.